And the same people have the audacity to come to Africa and talk to us about human rights. But what's even more disturbing is that we entertain them and we don't remind them of these skeletons in their closet. As we speak today, the priceless artifacts that they stole from all over Africa are sitting in their museums throughout Europe. And
Welcome again to another episode of the WSXM podcast. As always, tell a friend, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Once you like the video, just hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm to send this video out to the masses. And as well, a united Africa is an undisputed Africa, which is a fact, and we're getting there. So, Miss, the former ambassador to the African Union, Miss Chihombori, she gave this masterful speech. Until I watched it, it gave me goosebumps. It's one of those speeches that resonate and all black people. As long as you're black, as long as you're an African American or African Caribbean or a Caribbean diaspora or wherever you are and from, and even Africans, you need to listen to this speech in its entirety because it's masterful, it's insightful, and it helps us to march on forward. So let's get into it and let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Boom.
Arikana Chihombori, I was born in Zimbabwe, some little village called Chivu. Came to this country to go to college on the first degree in general chemistry and a master's in organic chemistry, went on to medical school, then did a residency in general surgery and family medicine, practiced medicine for 25 years until one night. Around 3 a.m., a phone call comes in and says, Doc, the African Union ambassador to the United States has resigned. She was going to be running for president of her country, and that we would want you to be the next African Union ambassador to the United States. Now, keep in mind, I am a scientist through and through. So who in their right mind would want me to become an ambassador in Washington? I thought that was a joke and it was laughable. Well, I fought it for about 6 months, but because being an African, after a while I had to listen to my elders. So I figured, okay, if you think you're putting a joke on me, the joke is on you, because I'm going to only go to Washington for 6 months and then I'll come back. And I'll tell my elders that I tried, but I couldn't do it. But something happened during the first 4 to 5 months. And mind you, I'm staying in a hotel because I knew I wasn't going to get into a contract, renting or buying, that I wasn't going to last. But what was very disturbing was the disrespect that was so blatant. I would be sitting in meetings initially because, you know, as a doctor, you're always a doctor no matter where you are. And I thought it was really quite humorous sitting with all these big diplomats, and here I am, a medical doctor, and I'm supposed to be useful. I'm busy diagnosing them, you know, you got a thyroid condition, you are bipolar, and I got a pill for you. I'm not really paying attention to the deliberations because I don't think politicians accomplish much anyway. So it was more important to diagnose them, their medical conditions. But every now and then somebody will say something and I'm like, wait just a minute, did they just say that? You know? And one particular event, there was a whole team of African ministers and one particular leader of a particular department in Washington started raising their voice and screaming and yelling at them. You Africans, you will never speak with one voice. This document over here is going to be a piece of paper 20 years from now. I said, okay. So we got all the ministers here. Somebody say something. It wasn't my show. I was like third. You know how you sit, you got your team leader, and then according to rank, I was number 3. So clearly I wasn't supposed to speak. I waited for those who were supposed to speak. They did not. More and more of those situations became apparent to me. And I remember 5 months into my stay in Washington, I called home and I said, well, you know what, guys, I'm going to hang around a little bit longer. There were a few, you know what, that needed a good kicking. And that I was going to hang around until they ran me out of Dodge, and that's exactly what happened. The disrespect is not just for the Africans on the continent. The disrespect is for black people around the world. The abuse is not just for Africans on the continent. The abuse is for black people wherever you find us. I'm going to share with you some basic facts. You see, our story is a simple one. Our story is of truth and facts, which are two constants that do not change. And all we need to do is give the world an overdose of our truth and insist on it. As we speak today, I'm going to take you back centuries, long before the children of Africa were taken out of Africa as slaves. There was some serious resistance when the occupiers from the West came to Africa, contrary to what some might think. They didn't just give up their children, but the fighting began long before slavery. And the resistance was those who led them, the majority of them, their heads, as we speak today, are sitting in jars in Europe. Are you aware of that? Our leaders, our ancestors who fought the wars of resistance, their heads, their remains are sitting in jars throughout Europe.
So guys, let me just interject with it for a quick minute. We'll listen to this, I will leave and finish listening to the rest of this. But the fact that there still has heads of African people still in jars in museum, and African people and black people in general still have to go to these museums, as she said, and pay money to see our history, when we should have all of this transferred back to the continent, which is going to be very difficult to get back our arts, our artifacture, all our artifacts, all our people as past, the pharaohs, everything that they have stolen, our jewelry, our art, everything. It's very difficult to get back. So think about that while listening to this speech. The fact that they have heads of some of our leaders still in the European Museum up to this day. Just think of that. Anyway, let me make it finish watching it and finish the video. Boom.
And the same people have the audacity to come to Africa and talk to us about human rights. But what's even more disturbing is that we entertain them. And we don't remind them of the skeletons in their closet. As we speak today, the priceless artifacts that they stole from all over Africa are sitting in their museums throughout Europe. And when you and I, when we visit Europe, we pay to see what belongs to us. Evidence of theft, evidence of murder on display in plain sight. As we speak today, black people are listed as 3/5 of a human being in the US Constitution. As we speak today, the redlining continues. As we speak today, African countries are being made to pay ridiculous interest rates on loans that they should not be paying for. Correct. As we speak today, reparations are due. everybody else has been given reparations, expect us. The question then becomes, what is wrong with this picture? Why aren't you and I standing up and demanding that what is right must be done? I can tell you why. Because no other race would stand for a minute what is being done to us. How long do you think a finger of a British soldier lasts in Zimbabwe? How long do you think a thumb of a German soldier lasts in Namibia? Not even a minute. They would storm in, kill hundreds, if not thousands of people just to recover that one finger. Why is it that we are unable to come together and speak our truth and demand that what needs to be done must be done? It's because they defeated us where it matters the most, which is the mind. It started with the missionaries in Africa long before slavery. They were sent by the Roman Catholic Church to subdue the Africans, make them believe that when you get slapped, turn the other cheek, and that your riches are in heaven. So by the time they followed with the colonizers to reap and rape Africa, we were already brainwashed. We were meant to believe everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything European was better. And the same brainwashing continued as our children were taken out of Africa enslaved. It continued on the plantations, color gradations, light-skinned versus dark-skinned, field workers versus kitchen workers. To this day, we suffer from the legacy of slavery and the legacy of colonization. For how long are we going to continue to suffer from this affliction? For it is singularly the reason why we are not able to come together just like other races and nationalities have done in this melting pot that is the United States of America. When you ask for the voices of the Irish Americans loud and clear, Jewish Americans loud and clear, German Americans, Italian Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian Americans, their voices are loud and clear. But when you ask for the voices of us black people, you might as well go to the graveyard because we are missing in action. We were taught, we were brainwashed into not even loving ourselves as individuals, let alone each other. We were taught not to trust one another. We were taught not to believe that my brother can, my sister can, but somebody else who doesn't look like you and I is better. The question I have for all of you, just close your eyes and think about your children, your grandchildren. Is this the world you want to leave behind for them? If the answer is no, then you need to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Because it is the image in the mirror that must change. It is the image in the mirror that must understand that you are sick from this affliction of the legacy of slavery. You are not sick at home. You are not sick in the doctor's waiting room. You are not sick in the hospital ward. You are sick in the intensive care. How long are we going to continue to support other people's agendas? Those who stood up to fight during the civil rights movement, during the Pan-African days in Africa, civil rights in the United States, they were all silenced. We are emerging out of a period of 20 to 30 years where just nothing is going on. We are all fast asleep. When are we going to wake up? Reverend Al Sharpton is saying, the time to wake up is now. Reparations now. We know all the companies that benefited from slavery. We have their name. We have the list. They must pay. As we speak, many have pledged their contributions. Guess what's going to happen, my brothers and sisters? Because we are not organized, we will never realize those funds. And they will hide behind, oh, they're disorganized. They don't know what they're doing. I am now going to be asking Reverend Al Sharpton to lead us as we demand those reparations. We need to register a global Pan-African fund that can make sure that we have development in black communities where it belongs. Those funds must be organized. Those funds must be paid for. Reparations for black people now. No more shall we continue to be abused. No more shall they continue to exploit our Africa. What is in Africa is our birthright, and we are going home to take it. No more shall we be told Africa is a diseased and dying continent because they are going to Africa in droves and telling you to not go there. So this moment is calling for unity of purpose. And before I leave this platform, I'm going to ask all of you to take a moment. If you love your children, if you love your grandchildren and their future, to have a serious conversation with Image in the Mirror. No justice,